COVID, about TU National, about what they want us to do, what they don't want us to do. And currently, they still are leaving it up to us as the boards and presidents and so on. As long as we stay within our state mandated or town mandated rules, we're okay. But obviously, social distancing, masks, yada, 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 all that stuff. So that being said, we do have the tin boat trip on Black Friday, which I don't know how many people have signed up for or how many people are interested in it yet. But it's, as of now, it's still going on. And then the next event after that will be our December meeting, which will be on the 9th. I'm currently talking to 2 different people trying to get someone to do a presentation on winter trout fishing on the Farmington River, because I thought that would be pretty interested to most of our people. And then the following Saturday, which would be the 12th, is going to be the ugly sweater. Again, unless COVID gets so out of hand that we're told that we have to shut our events down, which is what had happened in the spring. Lifetime membership drawing, which Steve and I were talking about a little bit earlier. So the lifetime membership, we were selling raffle tickets, and there was a bucket at all of the meetings last year that if you were interested, you threw your tickets in there. So Steve has those tickets from last year. And what we're going to do, I was talking to Mark about it. We're going to draw that at the January membership meeting. And Mark is going to put something up where if you want to buy tickets that will go into that raffle, they're going to be the same as we always, $5 for 7 tickets, right, Steve? That's what it is, $5 for 7 tickets. And all you got to do is pay for your tickets, and we will just write your name on 7 different slips of paper and throw them into a bucket. And Steve will draw it from, if we're still remote, Steve will draw it from his house. The winner is the winner is. So that way people, I mean, I know it's been going on for over a year already. We will put a start and an end date so that we have time to make up the tickets with people's names on it. We'll probably do it right after Mark gets back from his trip, and we'll close it down, a few days before the meeting. Do we have any new members on the call with us tonight?
I don't think so. We have actually 4 new members.
That's why I asked, because I know that we did get 4 new. I sent, and just so you guys know, when we get a new member in, it's something that I started. I send them a welcome letter with a CVTU sticker and try to encourage them to get involved. So I just thought I'd ask to see if anybody was new.
And Mike, we have 4 new members since November 1.
Oh, wow. So I have 4 more letters. Well,
Right.
I have a bunch of letters to send out, but we can talk about that later.
Yep.
A couple of other things is I just wanted to let you guys know that as a board, we decided to support our sister chapter down in Fairfield, the Nutmeg chapter. They were given an Embrace a Stream grant for the Mill River. So we sent them during their online fundraising, which was last week, I believe it was Monday to Friday. We sent a donation to them for the Mill River. It's for they're bringing in Troutscapes, which is the people that we use to do our root wad project. So it's a river that needs support. It's one of the 8 wild class 1 trout streams. So as a board, it was unanimously decided to support that. The Northwest chapter, and Mark, I'll send you the information. You can put it up there. They're running a 100 ticket raffle for a really nice 10-foot Orvis rod reel, a chest pack. It's a really nice raffle. They need a lot of support. They're kind of like have been in an up and down situation. The new president, Ken, is really trying to get their stuff back on track. So if anybody's interested, they're only drawing 100 tickets. The tickets are $20 a piece. I believe they have like 48 left. So Mark, I'll send that to you if you could put that up and let people know about that. And also anybody who's interested, during the Connecticut Council meeting that I attended with Randy a couple of weeks ago, there's a new initiative that TU National is doing where any first responders, be that a fireman, a policeman, an EMT worker, a nurse, anybody who's out there fighting the COVID as hard as they are, all they have to do is ask, and they'll get a 1-year membership free to Trout Unlimited. So I have a poster that I was sent this week which I can again share with Mark. But if anybody wants to print out a poster and bring it to their fire department, or if there's anybody that you know that's a policeman or fireman or anybody, nurse, that you think would benefit or you'd like to see join Trout Unlimited, just offer it to them. And all they have to do is there's a sign up right on there. They put their information in, and they'll be an honorary member for 1 year. And I think it's a great thing to do for people. I'm bringing them to my police department, my fire department. I'm bringing it to the VA in Newtown. Anybody who wants to do the same, just let me know and I'll get you the information. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Sure.
How the hell do I get my video to go again? It stopped.
Who's
Nick Porello.
Go to the lower left of your screen and it should say stop video.
Yep.
And if you click that, it should open you back up.
Uh,
Am I right, Mark?
yes.
yeah, that's what I did. Usually it doesn't do it anymore. I don't know why.
You know,
It
the
just-
other thing you might have to do, Nick, is you might have to log off and log back in. Start the process over again.
That's probably it. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Take it away, Mark.
Well, okay. Although I do need to make sure he gets back in.
Okay, then wait it out.
So, well, I'll just start by, let's see, on the subject of tickets and masks and such, there are ways for me to put these things on the website. I will ask for your patience because it's been a while since I messed around with that, but we actually have the capability of being a merchant and you know, putting up a product page and accepting either PayPal and or credit card payments through a Stripe account. So I can, you know, there are some things that I can do, but again, it will take some work. All right, I will go ahead and kick off and talk about our trip to Pulaski this last week. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so we went to Pulaski. I called it the Pulaski Pilgrimage because it's something that we do every year. So we went up over the weekend. Most of us arrived on Friday, and we stayed through Saturday and left Sunday. And I'm going to give this this talk through my perspective. I know we have John on the line who's been fishing there for 2.5 decades, maybe 3 decades, John, something like that. You can unmute yourself if you want to pipe in here. And also Emery Mercich is on the call as well, and he was part of that trip. And poor Mike, he couldn't make it, but we'll get into that. Mike can tell you what happened. But just
Oh, look at this. Thank you,
Hi,
sweetie.
everybody.
Thank you, babe.
Here.
I just got dinner.
there you go. Just to, again, from my perspective, you know, this is the trip that we make every year to Pulaski and the Salmon River. It's really a Mayanis and CVTU combined trip. In the past, it's been a very social event. We have the second weekend, and we have right of first refusal for the lodges there at the Douglaston Salmon Run. If you're not familiar with Douglaston Salmon Run, I didn't put a link here, but you can Google them easy enough. They are a private outfit that owns I think a couple of miles of river water and 6 homes that are right on the river. There's you know, I think 3 or 4 on one side, on the I would call it the south side of the river, and maybe 2 on the north side of the river. And very nice lodging, in my opinion, for a bunch of guys going fishing for the weekend. That's the way I'll put it. Now,
Very prime water, I'll add.
Jeff had discussed this with us several weeks back about the trip and about, you know, what we needed to do, and the 7 of us total that were going to stay at this Douglaston River Lodge decided that we would go ahead and go get a test. And 6 of us came back with negative tests before last Friday. Sadly, our fearless leader, Mike Futz, he struck out with his test. He is negative. He found out today. So if you want to go fishing with Mike tomorrow, he's negative. So yeah, that was very unfortunate. I don't know, Mike, if you want to add anything to that, but that was
The only thing I'm going to add is I thought it was a great idea. I'm not going to say who brought it up. I think we were all kind of thinking about it, but nobody really put it out there. I'm glad it was put out there. We made an agreement that we were all going to get tested. The only thing I'll say about the testing is it's all over the place. Some guys got their results in 24 hours. Some guys got it in a couple of days. I was pounding people to try to get my information. And I found out today that my test was actually completed on the 12th. But yet when I called on the 12th, they said it was still in progress. When I called on the 13th, they said it was still in progress. And when I called on the 14th, they said I was being a pain in the ass and I should wait for my results. So the point is, I chose not to go because I didn't know if I didn't think I was positive, but I also didn't know for sure and didn't want to be that guy that just showed up without the test. So,
yeah,
like I said,
it is,
the right
no,
thing to do.
and it is good information because he's absolutely right. These tests were being given at the drive-up window in CVS. I got my test at the AFC urgent care. There's several locations around here. I've been tested twice down there, once in July and then this past week. And they're all over the place. So, you know, it is what it is. It was unfortunate. But let me talk about what we did down there, and just get, again, from my perspective, we fished Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We prepared all our meals in house. We avoided all public venues other than really the grocery store and Dunkin' Donuts. That was pretty much the only place we went. I walked into one of the I won't call it a fly shop. I'll call it a bait and tackle shop because looks like we've got somebody waiting in the waiting room. Bummer. I wonder if I can. Well, there's a whole bunch at mid-all. There we go. All right, now I know how to do it. So they're coming in. Yeah, so we made plans to prepare all our meals in-house versus going out and to public venues. Dunkin' Donuts was certainly a stop that we made this year as well as last year, and I think every year. From my perspective, the fishing was okay, but not great. That's kind of the feeling I got from the guys who really know what they're doing, especially John and Emery and Dave Shaw and yeah, I think the fishing was okay, but not great. But everybody got something. Everybody got either landed something or got to experience the tug as it is. And the biggest thing for me, being my second year, is the weather wasn't completely terrible. Last year it was like, I think we woke up one morning, it was 7 degrees, and I think the high might have been 14. So this year, Friday and Saturday, the conditions were pretty good from a weather perspective. Sunday was a bit challenging, is all I'll say. It was windy as all hell. And maybe John, if you want to expand on that, it was challenging.
I was like 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts. So I think every leaf that was in the tree was in the river.
Yeah.
And it made fishing challenging. You got hung up on the leaves. The leaves just kept getting entangled in the lines. It was really
And
fun.
where we were fishing.
Never get a good drift, right? You never get a
Right.
good drift.
Well, where we were fishing Sunday morning was every cast was upwind, so it was, but hey, I caught a fish. And the first thing I said when it hit the net was, can I go home now? So if I can catch a fish, then anyone can up there.
You're
Okay,
selling
so
yourself short.
oh yeah, well anyway, so let me talk about this Douglaston salmon run. And I've been up there twice now. I know some of the guys have been up there many times in a row. But the Douglaston salmon runs, I said they have 6 homes of varying sizes and configurations and whatnot. Last year I stayed in I think it's called the Salmon Run Lodge, which is on the opposite side of the river, on the south side of the river. Randy Walker, you were in that house. Paul Ingrassi and I drove up together. We were in that house along with I think Bill, you were in that house. That was a great house. This year I stayed with the other group over in the Douglaston River Lodge. That is I think it's kind of the signature home in the whole thing. A very homey place. It's got a lot of stuff going on. We basically used about a third of what the house has to offer. They actually have a pool table downstairs and a sunroom. out the sun porch out the back, and a nice big living room. And yeah, it's a great place. But basically what we did is what we do. We said, let's tie some steelhead flies. So this is like the dining room table. We sit around the dining room table, we get our vices out, we tie a bunch of flashy looking egg patterns and whatnot, and squirmy worms and that kind of thing. But we tied flies. But first we had to eat these monster ribeyes that Jeff Huey bought while telling some tall tales. That spice, if you want to know anything about that spice, let me know. I'll give you all the details on the special shit series of spices. Excellent barbecue stuff. If you want, they got a Facebook page. You can go out and you can order it right off Facebook. Special shit, bullshit, chicken shit, badass shit. It's all good stuff. Good shit. But yeah, a lot of tall tales told. And again, like I said, we were prepping everything in-house. So that's the way to do it in these times. Plus, I don't think there's a restaurant. Help me out here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a restaurant in Pulaski that's worth eating at.
Kind of not really. You're kind of right.
Burger King, McDonald's, they don't really fit that bill.
No, you're better off bringing your own good food.
Yeah, full kitchen. We had everything we needed, and it was great. We had a great lunch prepared by John and Emery on Saturday with bratwurst and sausage, and yeah, trust me, we ate well. So the way I classify the salmon rivers, it has sort of rough beauty. For me, I'm an old guy. I got 2 fake knees, fake hip, bad feet. It's hard to wade, but it's a beautiful place. It's real. I really, when I look at that river and I look at that water, I'm like, damn, this is pretty. This is really, really nice. You're wearing about 10 layers of clothing. And you've got typically a 10-foot rod, and so it's fishing, not for the faint of heart, but it really, really does. It provides some incredible beauty. And that picture there, that third picture over, is taken on Sunday morning. We walked in with our headlamps, and I think we got there probably about 6:15, something like that. We got to this pool and had it all to ourselves. Had about 100 yards of water to fish. And it's funny, you sit there and you start casting as soon as you can't even see your indicator. You're just casting, hoping that maybe something will grab it, and you're casting and you're casting and you're casting and you're casting. And all of a sudden you look up and you go, holy crap. And that's the sky we saw. So I thought that was pretty cool. And these pictures are taken, these first 2 pictures are taken in an area that's basically in town, right within a rock's throw of Pulaski homes and businesses. The last picture there is a picture of Eric Brooklyn Natabon, and we thought he had a monster, but what, John, do you think it might have been actually a salmon that he had foul hooked or something like that?
I don't even remember where that was.
That was right where it was right where I caught my fish. It was right after, I believe. And
oh yeah, it was probably something, yeah,
like a zombie salmon or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, he couldn't do anything with it. Eventually it just broke off, but hey, the picture's great. So again, I one of the things I marvel at this place is it, Mike, what did you say? It's 21 miles long, something like that?
11.
Oh, it's only 11. Okay, I'm twice as many. 11 miles long.
11 miles long from the lake to the hatchery is 11 miles.
And whether you're in town, you're literally miles from nowhere. You would never know that you're near any kind of civilization when you're down there in this I'll call it a little bit like a gorge. I think that left picture. Where were you guys fishing, John? On Sunday afternoon?
I can't share that information with you.
Okay, but it's right there.
That's staircase.
So do you take a good look at this and at that tree, and that's where they were fishing? Remember that tree. But yeah, it's incredible. You're like right in town, right? It's essentially in downtown Pulaski. Whereas this other picture here taken on Saturday afternoon was up in the upper fly, almost to that wire, right? That wire is very, very faint in the background, right about there. And that's the farthest you can go up. And John, you caught some fish there. Emery, you caught some fish there as well. So I think the place is incredible. And I tell my friends that don't know anything about fishing that this is, a world-class fishery, in my opinion, right? I don't think I'm lying there. And
Nope.
it's just a little teeny section of upstate New York, and people flock there from all over the place. We won't talk about the salmon fishing. We'll only talk about the steelhead fishing. So yeah, steelheads and browns. The fishing was a bit slow, but fish were caught. So there's Dave Shaw, there's John, there's Eric with some very nice fish. And I don't know who caught the most fish. Was it Eric or was it Dave? John, do you know? Don't know. Don't care.
I bet you it was John.
Probably was. He left us for a while on Saturday morning. So he said he caught fish. We never saw them, but he said he caught fish. Okay, so yeah, we caught some other steelhead as well. And the that fish there on the right, I'm proud to say was absolutely the best fish I've ever caught on a fly. And I will tell you that I was quite frustrated on Sunday morning. I was cold. I had thrown my shoulder. I have a rotator cuff tear in my shoulder, and I had pretty much thrown it to its limit. And then all of a sudden, hey, I think I got something. And that's what it turned out to be. So I do have some video. I don't know if any of this stuff will work. I'm going to try to fire it up on YouTube, and we'll see what happens. I probably have to share this, don't I, John? So let's go with this. And this, I don't know if you guys can see this. Somebody help me out.
You
That's
got it.
good.
Yeah, this is Eric landing a fish in this place. I don't know, you guys call it the island or something like that? And what I was amazed is the current that we were fishing in is not something I would think that fish would be holding in. And I don't know, maybe they're not holding, but John, you had a good theory on this regarding the pressure that these fish experience in the lake, and then they come up into the river, and they like to hold in this fast water because it feels, they like that pressure on them until they get acclimated to the river. But this was a pretty nice fish. And Eric has all the tools necessary to steelhead fish. I have none of them.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Score one. Go.
Yeah, and you can see these fish are extremely strong. Oh, we don't want to watch the Christmas Carol. Okay, I got another one.
This is what it's like wearing regular shoes. No all-around support.
Hang on.
And this is what it's like in Skechers' new Arch Fit footwear. It's all the comfort and support you.
Let me see if I can do this a different way.
There you go. And then whenever you're ready, when you get more line in, just flip them over.
We have to improve our chapter's videography skills.
I suck at this.
You do look rather bundled up there, Mark.
You know, it was different than last year. Last year it was just, you know, cold
At some
degrees.
point, you're gonna have to turn him into the thing.
This year it was
Keep it low.
the wind. The wind was
Keep it
brutal.
low, and then when he gets closer to the net, that's when you lift up.
I'm getting instruction, as you can hear, from several people, which is fine because I didn't know what I was doing.
Mark, you're gonna have to bring the rod toward me on this side, to your left. There you go. There you go. Now keep it low. There you go. And then as soon as he gets close to Eric, just raise the rod tip up. Beautiful. Beautiful. Outstanding.
Mark, I just heard it. Can I go home now?
That's it. First thing out of my mouth.
Job, Mark. Nice job.
That's first thing out of my mouth. Can I go home, please?
Say hello. Say hello. Say hello.
Say hello.
All right, enough of that. Okay. So that was you know, the Salmon River for me anyway. John, I don't know if you have anything to add. Emery, do you got anything to add? No? John's just sitting there and laugh. He's got a grin on his face, like. But yeah, it was a good time. It's a trip that, again, as I mentioned at the top, we have right of first refusal. So we have this weekend every year as long as we want, right, Mike? Correct?
Yes, it's a total of, I believe it's a total of 28 people or 32 people that can go on this trip.
Yeah,
Hyannis and CVTU kind of split it. Last year, I think it was almost full. This year, not so much because a lot of people didn't want to travel through COVID, but, and it wasn't widely publicized this year because of COVID, just so everybody understands that. But anybody who hasn't been and is interested in going should come, because there's a lot of guys who've been doing it a long time who don't mind giving up, not their whole weekend. They're not guides, but they'll give up part of their weekend to show people, you know, how to drift an egg properly or how to swing a fly or so on. It's really worth the trip.
And you know, look at the Douglaston Salmon Run website, you know, do some research on your own about what they have to offer, you know, and, you know, don't, I wouldn't hesitate to go up there again, you know, and it's something that it's, you know, the fishing, as John will tell you, the fishing can be good all through the winter, right up to April. And then I know that Neil, you've gone up there in smallmouth, you know, going fishing for smallmouth. So it's you know, it's a great place to, number one, it's a great place to stay. I think those houses are great. And they have guides. They have guides that will take you out on the private water if you want to. So we elected not to fish the private water. We were talking about it, but we elected not to. And I think it was probably a smart move. I don't think the fishing would have been any better on the private
There's
water.
also a charge to fish the private water.
Yeah,
Too. It doesn't come with, when you stay at the house, you don't get the pass.
You don't
pay for the pass.
You don't get the pass, but I think you do get a place in line. So in other words, if you stay at the house, you are able to buy a pass regardless of if they're sold out or not. So they hold a certain number for the you know, the people who are at the house. So
also, Mark, you get the parking pass to park on the either lot and have access. So which one? The one on the parking lot on the south side, you park there, and that's just limited to people who are staying at DSR.
Okay. Good to know. And just check them out. There's also other lodges up there, some that look a little sketchy, and then others that are kind of on the sort of upper upscale is what we would call them in my business. Tailwater Lodge looks like it would be a place where you would, you know, splurge a little bit. It's probably twice as much per night as you would spend at DSR. So I'm going to pass this.
A really nice restaurant to Tailwater. If you want a good restaurant, that's the place to go to.
Yeah, that to me, that looked like the only place.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, Randy, you're up. Okay, do you want me to go ahead and drive this thing and you just tell me when to change slides? Unmute, buddy.
Unmute, Randy.
Randy, you need to unmute.
This is what it's like in class every day, just so you guys know.
There we go.
I want to be your student, John. Teach me,
Oh.
please.
I would have done so much better in school if I had a guy like you as a teacher.
Oh, John, I would have stayed back just to have John as my teacher.
I was I could name some of the names of my grandson's third grade. Olive, Dylan, Violet, I think is the one. Anyway, all right, Randy, I'm gonna pull up your presentation,
All right.
and I will start from the beginning, and I will share the screen. And you tell me when to change slides. How's that sound?
Okay. See if I can see it. Oh, very good. You can change slides. Well, yeah, this, we're looking for presentations. For those that don't know me, I grew up in Arkansas. So the White River system is kind of home turf. And the trout parks in Missouri, especially in the southern part of the state. And annually, basically, once or twice a year, I go out and visit my older brother who lives in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we share fly fishing, although he is 82, has one eye, and has had some transmission replacements, kind of like Mark was describing. So floating is the way most of the water is accessed out there because of generation schedules. And I think if you fished up in Massachusetts on the Deerfield, you can appreciate that you may be standing in ankle deep water, and in 15 minutes, you better be on the bank because you've got a torrent going through it. So these are tailwater lakes. It starts with Beaver Dam, closer into Springdale, Fayetteville, Arkansas. The dam at Beaver dumps in the upper end of the Table Rock Lake. The Table Rock Dam empties into a river lake, kind of like Lake Little Winona in a way, that's called Tanneycomo. It's near Branson, Missouri, or runs through Branson. And then that runs on down into Bull Shoals, and then Bull Shoals hits the White River and is the main stem. But you also have the other large dam that's known to most people is the Norfolk Dam, which is the North Fork of the White River. So everyone hear me?
Yep.
Good. Okay. So that's where we were going. There's another stream. I had slides, but I decided I'll keep it short. Is the Little Red River, which is the most southern trout water in Arkansas. So slide, please. So this is left picture is the White River in the evening, and this was in June. And the water typically is like most tailwaters, a constant temperature with high humidity and clear skies. The fog forms on the river in the evenings and overnight generally, unless there's a front moving through. This particular trip, we did a lot of, we had a guy named Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy is one of the, well, I don't know how many of you have been there, but they put in hundreds, if not a million, trout a year stocking the White River. And it's a long trout fishery. A lot of people fish with power bait, with crickets, with niblets corn, a lot of bait. And they also throw stick baits trying to catch the big browns. So fly fishing per se is not the real strong suit, and it is not a really what I call well-developed or a lot of people doing fly fishing. Okay, so not a lot of the guides are just not familiar. Jeremy is, however, you know, fishing blue wing olives or whatever in the late April, May timeframe, they do have a significant caddis hatch, and they catch a lot of really nice fish on that hatch with you know, topwater flies. And basically, while we were fishing here a couple weeks ago, it was conditions were such that you saw fish hitting the surface. So I think it's more of an undeveloped fly fishing fishery, and there's probably more opportunity to do that. It's just the guides are not attuned to it. So the fly that we primarily were fishing, we were nymphing and throwing what Jeremy calls his root beer midge. And so that's a picture of the size 14 midge that we typically drifted under a strike indicator. All right, next slide. That area that we were fishing, we were staying just south of the state park below the dam at a place, trailer place, but also had some rented trailers. Up toward the dam, a lot of nice rainbows. As you can see, that's kind of a typical dam area rainbow. I have fished there, and actually I'll talk about it a little bit more later with Tanneycomo. Been there when they had a sculpin kill, and literally the trout had eaten so many sculpin that it were coming out their mouth when you hooked one because they were so gorged on it. One of the other species that has recently been introduced is cutbows, the cutthroat rainbow cross. And so, you know, we kind of pick up all those types of fish and fishing there. Because of the generation, though, you can have very seldom, but no generation. And when that happens, that's when the fly fishing, I've only been there one time when they weren't generating, and I put on an ant, and I was making like 30-yard casts and watching these big rainbows gradually just come up and sip it, and you set the hook. It was, you know, fantastic sight fishing, but that doesn't happen too often. So, next slide. Jeremy, one of the things he touts is throwing big streamers. So, as you can see, I think this is kind of like Harold's equivalent of a tequila sunrise. So this is on a weighted line, and you're actually looking at the type of bank and little points and stuff that you drag that across, stripping it fast. And sure enough, ground trout are hiding in the shoals and on the bank structure. And they come chasing this thing out, and despite the size of the lure, they hit it hard. And so we caught several that way. And again, you can also get a feeling for the clarity of that water if you can see behind that brown trout just how clear it is. So again, you know, this is not a recent stalker, obviously. Next slide.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened. We'll get it. We'll get it. Here we go. There we go.
All right. So when I said, you know, one of the things that happens often, especially with my brother, is we get doubles. So we hooked up on two browns that are above average size, as you can see. The one on the right that my brother has, his name is Ed, is bigger than the one I have. The one I have, I caught on that big streamer. The one he has, he caught on this Chernobyl beetle there. So, you know, he was fishing topwater. I'm fishing big meat underwater, and he catches the bigger fish. It's on the almost the exact same spot. So that kind of tells you a little bit about the concentration and the population of fish in this particular fishery. And of course, in the tailwater, it's year round. Right now, starting November 1st, for a little over a mile below the Bull Shoals Dam, kind of what they do up in the Delaware up next to the dam, they shut it down during spawning season. So right now, you can't fish up toward the dam because they're trying to protect the spawning brown trout. Next slide. This is the Bull Shoals Dam. It's about 350 feet high. A lot of concrete, a lot of power. And in this picture, I don't know if, well, I don't have my pointer. The right side here is the cut you have to run up to get up into the pool at the dam. And there's some high power lines that you can't go past those any closer to the dam. But one of the things that Jeremy does, there's only two people that does this there, is do night fishing for big brown. Next slide. So this is the evening, and on the left is a mouse, okay? Now, I think it's more like a Miss Piggy, but I guess if you're going off for hog browns, you might as well have it dressed up like Miss Piggy. But I wasn't so sure this was such a great idea, but anyhow, that's what Jeremy fishes, and so that's what we headed out into the dark. And this particular evening, right there, Jeremy is testing out the flies and the sinking lines and making sure that everything was working well. But he, you know, he knows the river. I'm not sure I'd go out. But what amazed me is the next slide. Even with the darkness, one light a couple of miles away on a hill was enough light to navigate and see where you were at on the river. Plus, on the right picture, that's 2 a.m. in the morning, we're pulling out. You see that hillside that's the moon's just above, but before the moon rose, his claim was, and that I can't argue that it's not true, that particular night there had been a front go through, so the fog didn't form over the river. He said that was a negative. He said once the moon comes up, the big browns disappear. And so we fished till the moon rose. When you're fishing this big pink, I take that back, it wasn't a sinking line, it's just a regular floating line. When you're fishing that, he told us, and I till this past January didn't know how to do a strip set. So he said when you're stripping this in, when you hear the initial splash and take, don't set the hook. And I'm going, do what? Don't set the hook. All it's doing is biting it to kill it, then it comes back to eat it. And so that's basically what we did. What I got there is a 21-inch brown. That was the biggest fish we caught. We weren't supposed to catch any rainbows. My brother caught 3 on this pink monstrosity. So we fished from dark till 2 a.m. when the moon rose. So it was a different experience. And again, this hillside was covered in lightning bugs. So imagine a starlit sky with a hill that is like a Super Bowl game where everyone's got their little flashlights out or whatever. That's the way that hill looked. It was a beautiful evening. It was a great experience, very different. of course, than anything I've done. Although up here, I know people fish the Farmington and the Hoosey at night and throw mouse patterns. So just another variation of it. And again, on a big tailwater in northern Arkansas. Next slide. This is the most recent trip, and what you're looking at behind my brother there, we're in one of the John boats. I'm the guide, and I'm operating the engine and trying to fish all at the same time. And what you see behind him, there are 10 floodgates on Lake Tanneycomo. The Corps engineers decided while we were there to open 8 of the 10 floodgates. So, you know what the Hoosey's like when it gets above 2,000 CFS? This is 14,500 CFS. And now, when I was fishing the Rio Grande in Patagonia, that's almost exactly the flow that was on that stream. So I didn't quite panic. But what happens when they do this is they get all sorts of fish coming over that spillway and surviving. Walleye, crappie, bass, shad. And it's the shad that turned on these rainbows to anything white. So I put on a white marabou jig and started it like the trees on the right where the cursor is up there. There's a cable that goes across there. You can't fish above that cable. And so we go up there, get in the upper end of the drift, and start chunking a white marabou jig. And we had several doubles. All the rainbows that we caught, almost all of them were 16 to 18 inches long. And this is a nice male that, again, ate the white streamer. And that said, this particular area over where those trees are and down that bank on the right, you see fly fishermen and waders. And there's 3 outlets coming out of the fish hatchery there. So, hey, Pulaski, New York, and fish hatchery, whatever. A lot of people congregate around those outlets. And one night while we were there, anyone know what a spoonbill is? Fish?
Yeah.
I'd never seen one, and I still haven't seen one, but some guy caught 42-inch spoonbill on his Flyrod. Said it was like landing a log, but anyhow. A lot of different fish in the fishery there, but they also have some very large rainbows and browns up in the 30-plus inch range.
Randy,
So,
didn't the world's record brown come out of there years ago?
Yep.
42
Actually, I
pounds or
think
something?
the record in the U.S. may have came out of the Little Red.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry
And-
about that.
Which was interesting for me to learn fishing it. The Little Red to me is a drainage dish with off-colored water. And, I'm saying, well, they stock all this. Well, they stock rainbows in the Little Red, but the brown trout are natural reproducing, and they got some big ones. And so I was able, when we fished that a year ago, to pick up pretty nice brown there. Again, next slide. But once we got away from the dam, there's the white marabou jig, a 16th ounce, because with that much water, you had to have that much weight to get it down. But once we got below the dam area and started getting into what was heavy current, but the flies of choice were a red beadhead nymph, midge, and a scud. And when the Lake Tanneycomo, and I've been there when they weren't generating, there's some really nice wadeable water, a lot of big, small gravel bars that you can walk out and fish on. Matter of fact, after they closed the floodgates, the last day they closed the floodgates, and they were down to just one and a portion of the generators running. So they were only doing like 4,000 to 6,000 CFS. A lot of guys were wading out pretty deep and far from the shore up around the dam area, fly fishing. And those little gray scuds, when I was there previously, and it was low water conditions, throwing sight fishing to 20+ inch brown trout with a, size 20 scud or something. And the fish would take them. And one of the rules they have there is you can't fish in your slipstream in the stream, because you're kicking up so many scuds, the rainbows line up on your trail and are just, it's your feet are chumming all the time you're wading. So anyhow, that's a little different than what we have around here, although here we fish scuds too. So next slide. And so this is my first steelhead on a fly rod. And that was this past weekend. And that was in the DSR. I was staying at the Mud Lodge with a gentleman from the Untitled Chapter. Unfortunately for him, he followed his Google Maps that took him on a side road off the main state route where the lodge was, took him to a parallel road that took him into a farm road that was mud. And he was probably directly behind the lodge, but in a field. And the unfortunate part was he kind of made the commitment into the field down a slope before he realized what he was doing. And he had a sports car with wide tires, and it's dark, and he's middle of a field, and he doesn't have anyone he knows around. So thank goodness for cell phones. He got someone to pick him up, and he got to the lodge. Unfortunately, I had prepared some smoked brisket and twice baked potatoes and some asparagus. So we had a nice dinner together. And so the next morning, I was figuring I'd just go fishing with him. But it turns out, well, he's got cars stuck in the mud, and the tow company said they wouldn't come at night, especially under the conditions, and that they would be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I got up and went fishing wherever Route 2A, where you saw pictures Mark was showing the previous morning. And I put on a fly that my good friend John Hildebrand had given me, a chartreuse with a red gut tail. And there were 6 guys lined up in the upper end of the hole, and I just got in at the bottom of the hole. And just after daybreak, I got that tug that Mark was talking about. But I really didn't think it was a very big fish. I thought it was, maybe a little brown or something like that. And plus I was standing out in the faster current, and I had no clue what I was doing, right? Well, this fish had a awakening, let's put it, and decided I don't want to be caught. And so he started pulling, or she, and it was a steelhead. And so I tried to fight it standing out in the current. Not the right tactic. And so Mark, I was looking him, and I started observing these other guys. And you get a fish on, you start backing up to the shoreline, and you try to get that fish as soon as you can in the slower water. And that's what, if I hadn't had that experience the morning before, I would not have landed this fish here, because as you can see, it's a pretty good sized fish, and I was at the upper end of the riffle. Unfortunately, I got it to turn and run upstream. And so I didn't have the same problem I had the day before where I fought it to being right below me and it was no wind. So anyhow, I shared this with my family, and my son lives in Denver, Colorado. And, you know, you'd think he would let me bask in my glory for maybe a week, right? Well, within 48 hours, next slide, he sends me this picture. And so he's returning from California, stops off in Nevada.
The Pyramid Lake?
Huh?
Is that
Yeah,
Pyramid?
Lake.
Oh, Lahontan.
Yeah, and he, this cutthroat, as if that's not bad enough, his girlfriend, next slide, does equally well. She works for Trout Unlimited in Wyoming. Oh, to have her job. But anyhow, so, yeah, that's, I think it, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Randy.
you're welcome.
Nice job, Ronnie. Thank you.
So, you know, you guys have probably heard me mention that we might move to west to Nevada, and Reno is a target specifically because of Pyramid Lake. It's literally 20 minutes north of town.
We're
But
not
catch a
letting you
note-
go, Mark.
Yeah,
Well,
Mark.
Get a
catch note-
bedroom ready. We'll come. We'll come
Yeah.
visit.
Yeah, Mark, it will get old after a while catching those.
Yeah. Well, then I go to the Truckee River. That's
That's
Okay.
a hell of a river.
So now, Neil, I'm going to hand over the hosting duties to you. Okay, so that you can share your presentation, and I will do that. I got to find you on here.
Yeah, let's hope technology works, right?
Yeah, where the heck are
If
you?
not, I'll call on Professor Hildebrand to help me through it.
There you are.
Teacher, help me.
Make
How many
oh,
times during the day I teach a beautiful lesson, the kids go, "Oh, you were muted." Or they go, "Are you supposed to be sharing your screen?" Oh, shit. Yes.
Okay, so you've got this. You've got the what do you call it? You got the hammer. All right,
Can you guys see?
I can see.
We got you.
Let's see. You might have to switch it here. Let's see. Yeah, I'll switch it around. Okay, you guys can see?
Yes.
So basically what I'm going to tell you about is some summertime stories. Nothing as extravagant as Randy or maybe Mark and the Steelhead, but you know, when the waters get warm and they get low, you know, I like to go target bass. I mean, I grew up with bass fishing as a kid. You know, Mikey knows, you know, we used to go fishing on the Eastern Reservoir. One lure, we'd catch maybe 50 bass within, you know, an hour. We just walk along the shore. So to me, summertime bass fishing is just something I really enjoy doing. So I picked out 3 special times for me this summer that were really, you know, notable. One, we thought, you know, we were piss and vinegar because you have those fishing days where you think you're like the best fisherman in the world and you could go, you know, catch anything anywhere. And you're like, you know, I want to be a guide and, you know, quit my job. And then there's another story there about, you know, those long nights where you're on the water. I know John probably knows, you know, fishing for striped bass or whatever, you know, your eyes are ready to fall out, but this is a different kind of red eye. And the last story was probably one of the most notable for me. I call it WTH or what the fuck, you know, it was one of those times where it was just like, wow, didn't even plan on this and something totally happened that was totally different than what we went into. So let me move forward here. So, you know, we thought we were gonna, you know, at the end of this day on Candlewood Lake, this is a map. And you guys know this is where Squance launch is up here. Squance Pond is up here. You know, we thought after fishing this day, we were, you know, going to go compete in tournaments. But, you know, it was one of those mornings where it was calm. A lot of overhead fog and really no water, no wind. The water was like glass. And, you know, I'll show you spots that I fish, which I think are really good for Candlewood. So I'll give you some good intel. So right there, that point, that intersection on the lake is probably, you will catch fish if you go there. And the good thing about this spot, a lot of guys, when they come out in tournaments, they want to get back out and they want to get up to the other arms. But here you could also kayak and it's quick. And you got two channels on either side. You got a hump here and you got a lot of you got a lot of steep change in topography. And when the water gets warm, 74, 80 degrees, you know, the big bass, they'll go in the cooler water, but they'll come up along the weed lines and they'll want to push bait up around here and they'll just gorge. You know, this morning, like I said, was glass. We came out. I think within 30 minutes, we had probably 9 fish and 5 of them were just really big bass. And so after that 30 minutes, we were like, okay, we had a great day. We're done. You know, we didn't have a lot of time, but still we said, we're not going to move anywhere because it was one of those days where let's end on a good note. So, you know, these were some of the fish that were caught. I think this is a good friend of mine's son, Noah. You could see in his eyes. I think he got the biggest fish. I mean, that's pushing about 5 pounds, 5-pound bass right there.
That's
Now
pretty
we
nice
were
for
using a lot
public
of
water.
spinner bait. I'm sorry?
I said that's really nice for public water.
Candlewood's a good lake, you know, and it's local, right? And like I said, you can, in this one area here, you don't have a lot of time. Just spend some time right in this one area and hit it hard. And you can do it with a kayak if you don't have a boat, right? Get out first light. When the water's like this, you know, I use a lot of spinner, but I usually, you know, rig up with like 3 or 4 rods. I use the spinner bait, so I hit the different levels. You know, I'll use a wacky worm and then I'll use maybe a crawfish, you know, Texas rig or something like that. You know, a 3/0 hook. And, you know, just bang the weed lines where you get a lot of change in topography. And yeah, it's a good time. You know, Candlewood, it gets a lot of traffic, but if you hit it when you look at the tournament schedule, so you go to, you know, either Connecticut tournament website and you look for when there's not a tournament and you hit it and it's really good. So let's see if this video plays. It may play on my different screen here. This is where I'm going to call him to teach. Yeah, here we go. Can you guys see that video? I mean, it was dead calm. It was dead calm and a nice overcast, foggy morning, which is perfect. I love it.
That worked.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like, you know, bringing back kid memories. So I think after that day, we were able to compete in the Bassmaster, and I think we would have done okay that day with weight in the live well. So I know John's a big striper fisherman, you know, red eye nights, you know, you get those long nights where you're out there and, you know, by sunrise, your eyes are ready to fall out, but you know, there's fish out there. And this isn't a story about different red eye. These are, you know, the red eyes that lurk in the deep in Candlewood Lake, because Candlewood is also known for a smallmouth fishery. And, you know, this summer I had an opportunity to go out with a friend of mine and his son, who was also Noah again. And it was Bounty Hunters Custom Bait tackle. They're out of Newtown. CJD LaFleece. He's a guide. He knows that lake very well because he competes in tournaments. And, you know, we went to him because, I mean, one way to get good at fishing is to spend a lot of time in the water and also, you know, try different tactics. But also, you know, we paid him to say, look, you know, we have no clue on this lake at nighttime for big smallmouth. And we said, look, we want to understand tactics, where to go, what the fish are feeding on, and what's the best structure. And, you know, that's why we went with him. We started at maybe 10 o'clock. We launched 10 o'clock p.m. And we probably didn't get off the water till maybe 2:30. And, you know, he pours all his own baits over there, soft plastic and his lead. You know, this is all we fished that night. We fished patterns of crawfish and, you know, anywhere between 1/4 ounce and half ounce jigs. Throw them out, let them hit the bottom and jig them really slow off the bottom, maybe, you know, 3 to 5 inches.
Oh my God. Look at that.
I mean, these are the kind of, I mean, we were into fish all night long. I swear, we were into double digits. It was just, once you, I mean, he has, you know, GPS electronics and stuff, but still he was able to tell you in old school how you would read the electronics. He put those screens up so that you can actually go and fish. You'll need electronics at night, just a basic, even a black and white fish finder will work. But, you know, all in here, Cedar Island, right? There's wrecks in here and there's road beds, and they're littered with rocks. So right off the weed bed, if you fish right off the weed bed and you get into the rocks, and like I said, you throw out, you let it stop, you tighten up your line, and you slowly jig, and you feel it kind of like sliding, gliding through the rocks, banging, and then bam, the fish are right on it. Okay. And same thing, we all caught smallmouth bass. We know they're aerial. They fight hard, and they really, they give a lot of fight. And for me, they're probably my most favorite fish to fish on. And I know Joe Hovius is out there. Them on a fly rod is just, I mean, I'd love steelhead, but I'd rather fish big smallmouth bass all day long on a fly rod. This was obviously conventional rod. I love fly fishing, but I also love my spin rod. Another area, actually, let's see, I got a technology problem here. Let's see. There we go. Another area is up in here, all these foundations. So I'll send out, or maybe Mark, I'll give it to you, a couple videos of guys who've scuba dived in Candlewood, and they've gone into the foundations in the summer, and the amount of smallmouth that's sitting there and just keep nice and cool and in the shade. So right off the weed bed, you got right off the weed bed, you find the weed bed line, you point out into the lake, and you just, you know, obviously fan cast, you know, maybe, what is it, 9 o'clock, you know, 10, 11, 12, you just boom, 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 until you know, you'll hook up and fish.
Are those old building foundations?
Yeah, I mean, this is an impoundment. So Candlewood's an impoundment. There used to be, you know, I guess everybody, I don't want to say got evacuated, but everybody, eminent domain.
Eminent domain, yeah.
Yeah. So there's all this structure underneath there. There's, like I said, there's still wrecks down there. And then one last place is up in this cove. So like I said, if you know, this is one good area if you wanted to spend the night up in here to go, and you'll catch quality smallmouth. I was really happy. And once again, for me, these trips, you know, to get a young kid that's excited. I mean, he's really excited about fishing, and he's actually, I think both him and his father, Dave Ackert here, they're both members of our club. So another memorable night for me. And hear that? Sorry, I had a call coming through. And then lastly, you know, I call it what the fuck moment. Another fishery that I like to fish in the summer is Lake Lilanona. To me, I like it better than Candlewood because it's, when you get up into the Shepog Arm, it's remote. You know, you see bald eagles. You know, you don't have many houses, and the houses that are on it are beautiful. It's just a quieter lake. That's why I try to get out in Candlewood as, you know, early as I can, or nighttime. Another one of my favorite locations, if you go out of Pond Brook launch here, or you got the Newtown launch up here, right at that point for me, in the amount of time I put into Lily, has produced the best fishing ever for me. Quantity, quality, and different species of fish, because you get the channel coming up, you get deep drop offs, and you got a couple humps right over here. So you get a lot of different structure, different temperature and water. So the bait, there's a lot of bait fish in there, and the bigger fish tend to know that. This was a day, once again, coming off Lake Candlewood, we're like, let's go target bass on Lily. You're all set up for bass fishing, right? And it was a nice, sunny, quiet day. It wasn't a lot of traffic on the lake. And, this weed line is notorious. Either you're going to get fish up close to shore earlier in the year, but towards the, hotter weather, you'll get them along the weed line. And I just knew on the electronics, I'm like, we got to keep hitting this one weed line because there's got to be fish there. Okay. And I got a hit that when I came back for what I thought was the last time we were going to go through that, I got a hit that was like a freight train. I mean, I thought I had a big bass. I thought I had a monster bass because it was, I'm fishing bass rod. I'm not fishing toothy rod, nice, 7-foot, medium fast weight, 10, 12 pound braid. This thing fought hard. And until I saw it roll, then I was like, holy shit, what is this thing? Okay. 38-inch, 10.5 pound tiger muskie. It hit my bass rig, which was basically crawdad with two red beads, two good size red beads, and a cone weight. So it's Texas rigged, and it gets a lot of flash because when it drops, the beads separate and the head separates, so it looks like a bigger fish with an eye, right? To me, this was like, wow. I was just amazed because I knew in 2017, I think it was 2017, the Lake Leelanau Authority, they added tiger muskie to this lake. They added 9-inch and 12-inch fish in 17. And they added about anywhere between, 500 to 600 fish there to help control the population of the white perch. And this thing grew. I mean, this thing's 38 inches. So was it one of the 9-inch or was it one of the 12-inch? This thing's feeding really well. Within 3 years, it grew. Okay. For me, I'd say that Lake Leelanau maybe changed a little bit. The amount of bass I catch are less. And I just wonder if the tiger muskie and the pike are doing havoc on them, especially the bait size fish. But because a friend of mine 2 weeks ago up in the Shephog Arm got a 41-inch northern pike.
Wow.
So they're there. They're there. And I know some of you guys know what to do when the ice is out. If we get ice out, there's certain places you go and you could kill them, northern pike. So like I said, I didn't know what I had on. I wasn't, I hooked it in the upper lip. One thing I say about this picture, the video, you guys can see it, right, is teeth and bare feet. They just don't go together, A little concerning. It's like bluefish and bare feet, right? So, yeah, that was a day that, it's like for me, fishing, like if I catch one good steelhead or one good fish, I'm like, I'm done for the day. I'm grateful. I'm pleased. That was it. I was done. So to me, this was probably one of the most, crazy moments for me for the summer. And yeah.
Anil?
Yeah.
That is Randy. I'm glad you shared this because this summer fishing, I like to just fish popping bugs in Leelanau, and I was catching these big palm-sized bluegills constant. And I had one on, and the person I was fishing with got hung up. So the fish was still on my line, hanging over the side of the boat. And as we backed in to get this guy out of the bushes, and something came up and just engulfed the bluegill and took my line straight down. And then the line broke. And so I was wondering, so I put on a 5-inch kind of Matuka streamer and cut down my leader to just the butt section because I didn't have anything else. And I started hitting the bank with that for a little bit just to see. And sure enough, something came up, exploded on that streamer, and I lost a $7 streamer because it cut through that line like it was nothing.
Randy,
So-
you need to go fishing with Pogo Pike or Bert Willette for pike on the Housatonic and let them rig you up with a bite guard and the whole deal.
Yeah, I thought I was prepared because, you know, I'm thinking this is 40-something pound test in this upper end because it's only like 2.5 feet of leader. But what took it, it didn't slow it down. So
Randy, I know you have a tracker, so, and for the fly guys, I think Lillanoa is going to be a lake to fly fish with big flies for northern pike or muskie.
yep.
I mean, I know Whoosie's really good, and I know that's where Pogo fishes, but he does fish Lily, and
They're everywhere.
it has a real good fishery for these toothy fish.
But I would agree with you. I think the smallmouth population's decreased.
Yeah.
I'm not catching near as many small juvenile smallmouth you used to. You almost had to shake them off your. Because I had one. This is about 10 years ago. One Friday afternoon that I went out at 3 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock, I had 5 fish that weighed total 22 pounds on a popping bug. And that, you know, the bass population is just different today than it was then.
Yep. Yeah, it's changing, but hey, I'll catch toothfish all day long too.
Yeah. I want to go. I want to get one to hit my fly again with it properly prepared.
Yeah. Well, folks, thank you. I just wanted to, thank you for your time and your ears, and I wanted to wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving. Please be healthy. We understand the state of the world right now. It's crazy shit. Be happy, be safe. Wanted to also thank you for being a CVTU member and a TU member, and supporting your time and efforts and just having the passion to fish and wanted to conserve clean water. And we know the state of water. We do take it for granted, and we die without it, right? That and oxygen, we'd be dead. So, and I wish you all tight lines for the rest of this year and 2021. So.
Thank you, Neil. Great job.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
Thank you, Neil.
There we go.
you need to give me back the hosting.
Yeah, I gotta find where the hell I put the goddamn.
All you got to do is find me and then right click and
Allow record. Spotlight.
or maybe I can even ask. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I hit. I'm still, it says Zoom sign in. Let's see.
I got that too.
Yeah, meeting control. I don't have that anymore. Let's see. I got the gallery.
Don't want to stop your share first.
Yeah, stop your share.
Oh, wait, up top here. There we go. Done.
There you go.
Thanks, Teach.
And then just
Appreciate that.
hand me back the
I gotta hand
hose.
you something. Did I give you control? Let's see.
Black.
I don't know. I think you can.
You just hover over his picture. You'll see the 3 dots.
Yeah, I know.
I think you
Spotlight.
just choose make host.
Yeah, I don't see that though, dude. Wait, there we go. Yeah, too many clicks.
All right, cool. Okay, I don't know. Do we have anything else to discuss, Mike, or anybody else?
I gave you everything I had at the beginning.
I know we
I
have.
mean, we could open it up. We could open up to a discussion if anybody's got anything they want to share, or just, you know.
Well, I know Joe gave me a post or a PDF that I put up on the I put it up on the Facebook page. Joe, I don't know if you got any feedback from that at all. It was regarding the meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Oh, PWA?
Oh, that's the launch for the PWA.
319 grant.
Yeah.
There's a 319 grant been awarded to the Houstonic Valley Authority in conjunction with Pulaski Watershed Association and Town of Newtown to do a basically a stream water quality improvement in the Pulaski Basin. And there's a kickoff meeting for that tomorrow. If you put the announcement up on the Facebook page, if anybody's interested in joining that, you do need to send a note to Courtney Morehouse at HBA to get the link on that. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting session, and they're really looking for input for stakeholders who might have interest in the Pulaski and how it fishes and other recreational opportunities there. So take a look on the Facebook page. As I say, you'll need to touch that and reach out to Courtney Morehouse. That's at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Hey guys, I had a question for those of you who went up on the Douglaston. Did you end up using sinking leaders at all?
No, we weren't swinging flies. We were, we were just drifting nymphs. I was fishing an indicator strictly. The other guys were fishing a combination Euro or indicator, depending on the water we were fishing.
All floating lines?
All floating lines. The guys are fishing Euro style were just tight lining, and their line was not on the water. I was fishing an indicator with a typical, I will call it typical Great Lakes steelhead indicator rig. You have the indicator down to a barrel swivel. The barrel swivel has, you tie your tippet, or you tie your leader to the top end of the barrel swivel with a little tag off of that you put your split shot on. And then the bottom of the barrel swivel, you put your, we were fishing 2X fluoro. So you put about maybe 18 inches of 2X fluoro and then your fly. And then that way, if you're, you've got this tag at the upper end of the barrel swivel, if it gets stuck in the rocks, it typically breaks off and you don't lose your fly, typically. So it's a rig that Dave Serwicki showed us how to tie last year before we went, and it's also on a couple of websites. But it's kind of the typical indicator nymph rig, and of course in New York you can only fish one fly.
So were some of the guys doing Euro?
Yes, and they were very effective. I mean, John, who left, and Eric and Emmer, you were fishing Euro as well, weren't you? Yeah, and Dave Shaw, those guys, they have the most part. Yeah. Number one, they have the gear. You don't try to fish Euro on that river without the right rod. So it's like a 6 or 7 weight, 10.5 foot rod, and the blanks aren't easy to come by. You're not gonna, and I'm not sure, Mike, I'm not sure you can go out and buy a rod like that retail.
I got mine through John Hildebrand.
Yeah.
The one that I tied is an 11-foot 6 weight.
And I think Eric got his blank in from the Czech Republic or something.
Yeah, he got his from the Czech Republic.
So exactly. It's a style of fishing up there anyway for steelhead that not a lot of people do, but it's effective. Yeah. They have more hookup. I mean, sir, I'm out there just flinging stuff around.
Like, you think a 10-foot Thomas and Thomas could work for Euro?
Yes.
If it's heavy enough, if it's a 6
Yeah.
weight.
So
I got-
mine is
that's a
from
heavier
Orvis.
weight, 9 weight.
Yeah, mine is
Oh,
from
okay.
Orvis. It's a
Too heavy?
10-foot-7 weight.
Emery, what was that?
Mine is from Orvis. It's a 10-foot-7 weight, so
Yeah.
it's not one that I made myself. And
You
just
think
have a
it's-
lighter line on it. You have like a 5-weight line on it. And
Is
you're
that too
fishing
light,
the fast
Emery?
water. Sorry?
Is that too light, Emery?
Oh,
7
no.
weight, or is that good? Yeah, okay.
No, because the line is not. You want it light for feel, right? So you can feel it better. Every
Okay.
tick, everything that you feel, you got to try and set the hook.
I was trying to fish my 8-weight switch rod, and I had all kinds of equipment problems I won't go into because it was all user error. So I learned, but then I just went to a 9-foot-7 weight, and you know, you need a rod with a backbone. Those fish are freaking massive.
Although I used to fish a switch rod, an 8-weight switch rod. It was too heavy.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah, I was
sense
gonna
that
say,
you couldn't
Paul, I
feel it.
think
You
your
couldn't
9
feel it.
weight's too heavy, Paul.
Yeah, you gotta have some feel in it, and that aside from my equipment problems and the lack of knowledge and skill, it is an 8-weight switch rod. It's heavy, and like I said, I got a bad shoulder, and I was worn out in an hour. So went to my 7-weight, and I was okay.
Mike, you think 9 weight's too heavy?
I do. Just for the sheer weight of it, and when you're tight lining and you're holding your arm up, if you've got a 9 weight that you're fishing.
I'm not talking Euro. Just regular casting.
Well, I mean, you could certainly play the fish a lot quicker with a 9 weight, but I don't know that you would have the sensitivity that you need to steelhead fish with a 9 weight. Just my opinion. Amory, do you agree?
Well, if you're indicator fishing, you're looking for the indicator to move,
Yeah.
right? It's not, the rod is not the thing that you're looking to feel it on.
Paul, I have a 9-weight as well, and I actually built it 2 years ago in our chapter rod building session, strictly because I thought that was what I needed for steelhead and Pulaski, and I built this rod and I was so proud of it, and then I was told, hey, you bring your 7-weight, so I used the 9-weight a couple of times out on the Housatonic for stripers, and I love the 9-weight. The 9-weight's beautiful, but it's a big rod, and I could use it for steelhead. You definitely could use it for steelhead. You definitely, if you're indicator fishing, I think it would be fine. But it's heavier. I've used it on the Housatonic on a couple of float trips I've done with Bert Willett, and man, 3-4 hours of casting that thing and you're just done.
It wears you out.
So, but it'll throw line. It'll definitely throw line.
Striper rod.
Yeah, it's a great striper rod, but then I don't have a boat.
I'm used to the 9 up in Canada. It's practically all there.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
What we did was, when we only had a Euro rod out there, Euro nymphing rod, 10-foot-7 or 11-foot-7 weight, and the water was, not as fast in certain areas, so we did indicators. So we put an 8-weight line on it, and it was a 7-weight rod with an 8-weight line. We could cast it great.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the trick, Emery, is they brought, multiple reels, and if they wanted to switch it out, they wanted to switch their rig out, they just switched the reel.
I mean, my background photo, this is from Sunday, and that's Dave Shaw here, right? And Eric over here, and John got cut out of the photo. He's there also. And yeah, it was so windy. That tree was just blowing left and right.
Yeah.
That's when you go to the bar, because it's tough fishing. It's tough fishing for steelhead. You want that tug so bad, but it's hard, man.
Neil, that would be a good choice if there was a bar.
I,
Always a bar, Mark. Who are you kidding? There's
There's no bar in Pulaski that I could find.
We had our own bar, right, John?
That's-
Right,
all
that's
you
the
right,
gotta do
best.
is come to the back of my car if you
So
want
we
a
had-
bar. Don't worry about it.
We had at the whatever it was, the Douglaston Manor Lodge, we had half a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, some tequila, some bourbon. I don't know if John's not here. What was that? Johnny Rockets bourbon or something like that, and a bottle of Jameson. So we had our bar all set.
You sure did.
Well, and I'm going to just say to anyone who hasn't gone on this trip before or who hasn't fished for steelhead before, are they a tough fish to catch? Yes. Are they worth everything that you go through? Yes.
Absolutely.
Is it absolutely the most chaotic 30 seconds you will ever see from the time that your indicator goes down until I'm a firm believer, and I think John will agree with me, probably Neil also. If you can control a steelhead for 30 seconds, you have a good chance of landing it. But it's that first 30 seconds that is absolute bedlam that is what you got to get a handle on.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I had.
I'm gonna say
I
goodnight,
had.
guys.
Is there still
Good night,
four?
Beth.
Good night.
hey,
Night,
Beth,
Beth.
be well. You have a
You
good
too.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
honey.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you
Bye,
too.
guys.
Honey.
I know.
I heard that the Steelhead had 4 runs. You definitely identified runs on the Pulaski. You know?
Oh, you mean like now and a month from now and that kind of thing?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
See, what they should do with the Salmon River, and it's all monetarily, it'd be great if you could and it's the Douglaston River, but there's too many people on it. It's just too many people. If they can just lottery it.
Yeah.
And I know that's the Douglaston, but it's
Well, I
it's a
think-
beautiful river. To Mark's point, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of water.
I think the key to me, anyway, being a newbie still, is you go with a group like this, that knows what they're doing. And yeah, you get up early in the morning. I was up at 3:50 on Saturday, not because of an alarm. It's just, me.
That was
But,
that prostate related?
It could be. But you're up and you're anxious. You go to sleep knowing you're going to get up, and you
We
get up.
rest. You
and
rest.
You throw some coffee down, and you have a bagel, and you suit up, and you put your little lamp on. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you guys, I was a little bit uncomfortable walking around in the dark on reconstructed limbs with a headlamp on, but I
An
had
11-foot rod, right? 11-foot
yeah,
rod
with
too.
well, actually, I was carrying my rod in 2 pieces, which was the smartest move ever. But I credit all the guys that were there with me. Literally, Eric held my hand crossing the river at one point. So you go with people who know what they're doing. Everybody's willing to help. I mean, that's the beauty of this thing, is that everybody's willing to help me find a way to catch a fish. So, and who knows, maybe there'll be a day when I help somebody else. I doubt it on that river, but there'll be other rivers that I can help somebody on. But we got a lot of people in our circle that know that river backwards and forwards. I mean, John, he went to school up there. He's been fishing that thing since he was a teenager. So, you go with a group like this, and there'll be people there to help you cross the river, to help you, cast in the right spots. I mean, it was funny. They said to me when we got to the place on Sunday morning, they were like, "Let's give Mark the slot right up here so he can catch a fish." Now, I didn't catch a fish there. I caught a fish, down in the other spot. But, that's the kind of group we have. Okay. So, yeah.
And the other thing I'll tell you too is steelhead are but they're big trout. So if you know how to fish for trout and you use that knowledge, you'll catch steelhead.
Yep.
They're just really big and they fight like crazy. And the first time you hook one, whether you land it or not, you will not sleep until you get a chance to go back and do it again.
Yeah, and like Mike said, I was casting and I was struggling because of the wind. I was struggling to get my fly to where I wanted it to be, thinking that that's where it needed to be. And I finally was like, you know what? I'm just going to shorten up my cast because I can't get a good drift. So if I shorten up my cast 6 to 10 feet, I'll get a better drift. And I think on the third or fourth cast, I hooked into, and we all know that when you're nymph fishing, if there's a fish down there, if you run your nymph anywhere near, or your whatever, I was fishing with something called crystal meth. If you get it anywhere near them, they're going to eat it. So that's what happened. I shortened my cast up by, I don't know, 6-10 feet, and there was a fish there. And
it's all about presentation. Like any other trout, it's all about presentation.
Mike, when you're setting a hook, right?
Yeah.
For the steelhead versus a salmon, is the steelhead like trout where you set the hook versus a salmon where you let the fish eat it?
If you're nymphing, Paul, or if you're indicator nymphing or you're Euro nymphing, you're setting the hook. But if it's on the swing, it's just like a salmon. You got to wait until he sets himself up.
Let him eat it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing that I got kind of lucky with, and it's something I learned from last year, from losing, I don't know, 20 flies to the bottom of the river, at least, was I got lucky and I got my rig set up at the right depth, like pretty much from the get-go. I think I raised my indicator like 8 inches or so one time. I lost no flies. I didn't get any snags at all. If I did, it was easily released. So I had my rig at the right depth, and that's like such a key when and that's why the guys at Euro Nymph do so well, is they can adjust their depth on they can cast and they can adjust their depth on every drift. Whereas with an indicator, you throw it out there, and if your flies are too deep, you're going to get snagged. If they're too shallow, you're not going to get anything. So
well put.
All right.
Well, folks, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I wish everybody well and stay healthy, please.
You bet.
Neil,
Yes, thank you very much. Everything was
Everybody
great.
that I don't see normally, it's been great to see you. Have a wonderful holiday, and hopefully we'll see you for our next meeting, which is the 9th of December. And I encourage people to get ready to go on the ugly sweater trip because it's outdoors. We'll mask up. We'll keep our social distance, and you got to get outside in this and when all these crazy times. So to that, I say thank you, Mark, for setting us all up. And good night,
Mark.
everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
Hey,
Take care. Bye-bye now. Thank
Steve
you.
Barger, I'll call you on the side tomorrow about the raffle.
Okay.
And
Sounds good.
I'll talk to you about the dryer.
Okay, great.
Good night, guys.
Good
night.
Good night, everyone.